Hello and welcome to India Top Doctor. Today we will talk about cancer. Cancer, when we hear this word, it creates a sense of fear in heart and mind. It can happen to anybody, whether you are young or old, rich or poor, or you are a doctor or a patient. But with right information, it can be completely controlled. With that keeping in mind, today we have a very special guest, Dr. Nilesh Chaudia, and he will tell us more about it. Hello, sir, and welcome to India Top Doctors platform. My first question from you will be can you tell us something about yourself?
Hey. So basically, I am Dr. Nilesh Chordia. I am an oncosurgeon and I am trained from Tata Hospital, the prestigious institute. I was there for around 3.5 years. Then, due to my interest in laparoscopic training, I pursued my laparoscopic training from Korea, from Seoul. And then in practice, I am there since last 10 years. So I am practicing in Thane, Mumbai suburbs. And I have two setups. One in Thane is a multi-specialty setup called Infinity Medical Center, and the other center is Specialty Surgical Oncology Hospital and Research Center. So basically, that is uh, a center or purely oncosurgery center formed by a group of oncosurgeons as a team. So we have just started it last year. Now we just expanded it around 4 or 5 days back. So it is a 35-bedded setup with state-of-art facility and completely oncosurgery setup. No chemotherapy, nothing. Only surgery. Thank you.
Okay. So, when did you realize that you wanted to pursue oncology?
Yeah. So basically, my father was a teacher, and after doing my MBBS through entrance, I got the MS seat. And in MS, Dr. Boralkar was there, who was my teacher, and he was excellent surgeon. He was the only person who was trained in cancer surgery there. He had trained from Hyderabad, so he used to do surgery, and I used to found out that his surgery and other surgeon surgery there is a lot of difference. His surgery was much clean, much precise, and then and he persuaded me to do onco surgery training. Uh, Seeing his surgery, his skill, and his results, I gradually all got oriented to onco surgery. I started liking it because day in and out I was doing that thing, and then that's why I got admission in Tata Hospital through the entrance, and then I pursued the oncology.
So, I'm sure he's proud of you.
Thank you.
So, with that keeping in mind, will you please tell us your family's role in your achievements?
Yeah. So basically, my family is my biggest pillar and strength. There are two things. One is my wife, who is persistently keeping all the home problems out from my work. This thing. So I'm more focused on my work. She takes care of everything, household things. She is herself is an endodontist, but she takes care of everything. My children, their other household families. And the second important influence is of my father. My father was, I told you that he was a principal, he was a teacher, and then he became principal. So he was very clear in his thoughts, and uh, he had a liking that my son should become doctor. So it was his dream, and that's why I came to this field. When I become oncosurgeon, is only two advice he had to me. He said that whatever you are doing, give 100% justice to the patient, because for you it might be a daily routine surgery, but for the patient it's for lifetime surgery. So you will not again have the second surgery. So whatever you can do, you should not be in a hurry and complete finish your job with complete 100%. And that is I'm following. And that's why I am getting good results. So it was his main suggestion to me that give 100%. Don't be after money. Money will come automatically, but you give your justice to your patients. And that's why I try to do my best to give complete 100% to the patients. And second thing is that he used to tell me always that if patient is there, the speech how you counsel the patient, how you deal with them. It's equally important because your healing word gives almost 50 or 70% relief to the patient. So explain them properly, whatever you are planning, what are your thoughts. You should be clear in your thoughts and explain them everything, and then it will be their decision whether to do or not or whatever this thing. But explain them properly, and that's why I follow in my practice. And fortunately, it is giving me results also.
Great, great. Can you tell us your specialty in cancer, please?
Yeah. So basically, I started when I finished Tata. I was doing everything from head, neck to toe, all the cancer surgeries I used to do. But gradually, over the period of time, I recognized that if you want to be master, you have to select some branches, and that's why I gradually started. And work was sufficiently coming, so I gradually started doing skipping the head neck thing. I started concentrating more on abdominal surgeries like stomach, all the GI cancers, gynecological cancers, and thoracic cancer surgeries. And that too, I told you that I was more inclined to laparoscopic surgery, and for which I took my training from Korea. And nowadays, I am doing majority of surgeries as laparoscopic surgeries. There are maybe thoracic surgeries, GI surgeries, lung surgeries, or gynecological surgeries. Most maximum are laparoscopic surgeries.
Okay, so what are the causes of cancer?
Actually, cause cancer is multifactorial. Nobody knows what exactly causes cancer, but there are certain factors which are shown to have positive relation with cancer. They causes cancer. So cancer, in simple words, is a small change in your gene, and that hampers the harmony in your gene system. There are two types of gene. One is tumor suppressor gene, and one is tumor promoter gene. In everybody's cell, these two genes have. So then, when there is harmony, you will not develop any cancer. But when this harmony is lost because of mechanic various factors, you get cancer. So there are certain factors which are known to cause cancer. If you see, age wild we used to say that smoking and tobacco, they are tobacco and alcohol. They were main factors for causing cancer because they alter this harmony and they cause mutations in your genes because of their various chemicals in it. But nowadays, we are seeing that many patients they are not having tobacco habit or alcohol habits, but till they are getting cancer. And then when we are finding it out, we are finding why it is happening. The other factors are coming into play, and you will be surprised to hear that our nutrition has become one of the most important risk factor. Whatever we are eating, unfortunately, everywhere pesticide is there, chemicals is there, a lot of fertilizers are used, and it is directly or indirectly is coming in our tummy, and it is causing the chemical effects and increasing the cancer incidences. There are certain hormones which are responsible for certain cancers, like for especially in females, the breast cancer, ovarian cancer. So estrogen is hormone which is responsible for this thing. So again, there are two hormones in females, estrogen and progesterone. And progesterone is protective, estrogen is risky. So when estrogen is high and progesterone is less, then the woman is more prone to develop these two cancers, ovary and breast cancer. And although hardly 10% patient which we see, they are genetic also. Their cancer runs in their families. Mother or father had cancer, and then some brother also had cancer, and now it is coming into their this thing also. So familial cancers are around 10%. Apart from them, ultraviolet rays, they cause skin cancer. There are various medicines are there which are also known to cause cancer. The dye industry, chemicals, they are also known to have association with bladder cancer and urinary bladder cancer. So various factors are there. But two more important is we should understand that diet has also become an important factor, and we should try to do something for that.
Yes, sir. Sir, as you said that you are into laparoscopic surgery, Can
Yeah.
you tell us the ways it is possible, how it is possible while treating cancer?
Yeah, yeah. So initially, when laparoscopy came, there were doubts in your people's mind that we can do a good job with it or not. So there are a lot of studies happened, and their all focus was that it should be at least comparable to open surgery. If it is superior, very good, but at least should not be inferior to open surgery. And now there are many cancers in which it is found that it is gold standard. If you see colon cancer, if you see rectum cancer, if you see early stomach cancer, if you see the uterus cancer, endometrial cancer in females, it is a gold standard because it even in thoracic, if you see food pipe cancer, esophagus cancer, it is gold standard because the side effects are which were with open surgery, they are very less with laparoscopic surgery. Their hospital stay is less, their pain is less, they don't require lesser medications, so they can be discharged early. We can start feeding early in these patients because our handling is minimal with instruments. So there are a lot of advantages are there with laparoscopic surgery, and that's why in GI cancers and stomach and this thing, so endometrial cancer, it is definitely a gold standard. In fact, you can see that in thoracic cancer, it has completely replaced open surgery in esophagus cancers. But there are certain cancers there where it has shown to not have good results. The two particular are cervical cancer. It means in female you got this what you call the opening of the uterus, is cervix. Cervix cancer is there that has shown to have inferior result and more recurrences if done laparoscopically. So it is contraindicated there. And second cancer is ovarian cancer. In ovary, the tumor is large. And in their scenario, if you try to do laparoscopically and you unfortunately break open the ovarian capsule, the tumor cells spread all over the abdomen. So your stage upgrades and the chances of cure decreases. So ovary and cervical cancer, it is absolutely contraindicated. You should never do. Although some people try to do, but there are absolute contraindications for laparoscopic surgery.
Okay. Can you tell us about some of the symptoms of abdominal cancer that cannot be ignored at all?
Okay. So abdominal cancers, I will divide into two categories. One is intestinal cancer and one is gynecological cancer. So intestinal cancer, if you see, they generally have bowel disturbances. Some have gas trouble, fullness of abdomen. They have blood in stool. Again, colon, if you see right-sided colon cancer, they generally present with, they have bleeding tendency. So they, and we don't notice because the stool is slightly blackish in color. So they are present with anemia, weakness. They have low hemoglobin, and then the people start to search why hemoglobin is falling, why where is loss, and then they found that it is the colon cancer which is causing blood loss and causing cancer. So their general main complaint is fatigue, blood in stool, and weakness. If you see left-sided cancer, left-sided are generally constricting type, so they obstruct the lumen, and that's why they are not able to clear their bowel, their motions, and that's why they have gas trouble, constipation, alternate constipation, diarrhea. They have sometimes trouble that they are feeling that we have passed motion, but till it is incomplete, they are again have to go. So that symptom is always there, and of course, blood in stool is the main symptom in those patients. And if you see the this thing, stomach cancer, they have symptoms of vomiting, again weight loss, fatigue. Whatever they are eating, 1 or 2 days prior also food, they tend to vomit because the passage is obstructed. And again, this patient also present with anemia, means low hemoglobin because the bleeding tendency they have. Gynecological cancers, if you see, they have main symptom of bleeding per vaginally or sometimes increased menses. They are passing menses, sometimes abnormal menses that they are past stop menses from last say 4, 5, 3 years, and again menses is starting. So that is one of the important symptom that you should never neglect. What we call a postmenopausal bleeding. So very important symptom. If it is there, immediately consult doctor. It is a very high chances that it can be a cancerous. And they again have white discharge from vagina. This is second most common symptom. And sometimes in advanced cases, then they develop jaundice and others, jaundice and urinary problems, and sometimes fistula, which causing urine coming from the vaginal orifices. And the most treacherous is here is ovarian cancer, because ovarian cancer is a cancer which you can easily miss those that kind, because the symptoms are very vague. Vague means they just will just have some fullness of abdomen, or just have some gas trouble, their gastric distension. थोड़ा पेट टाइट लगता है, फुला लगता है. That is the only symptom they have. So generally in our routine care practice, routine day-to-day activity, many patients develop this symptom, that gas thoda ho raha hai, acidity is getting. So they often neglect, or they tend to send some antacids or some gas laxatives. So these this is very high chances that it is missed in early stages if you neglect this symptom. So persistent gas trouble more than 3 weeks, or any other symptom for more than 3 weeks, you should get an examination, get at least sonography done, and consult a doctor. It is very important. You can pick cancer in early stage if you don't neglect this symptom. So persistent vomiting or persistent gas trouble, even persistent abdominal fullness or dull pain in abdomen, never neglect. Always consult doctor.
Sir, can you please tell us about the progress you monitor when a person goes through chemotherapy?
Acha. So basically, I am oncosurgeon and I don't give chemotherapy because I don't have that much time. But fortunately, we have a team where the medical oncologists are there. They monitor chemotherapy part. So chemotherapy is slightly, there are a lot of misconceptions in people's mind. Chemotherapy देंगे तो बहुत तकलीफ होगी. They will have a lot of trouble. They are just feeling is there. But now chemotherapy has evolved very much. The main side effects of chemotherapy were because chemotherapy cells, the drugs affect normal cell also, apart from cancer cells. The fast growing cells in the abdomen, in the body, they are affected. And that's why a patient develops side effects. But now good drugs are available. The main symptoms are vomiting because of the intestinal problem. So vomiting is there, sometimes constipation is there. But we have very good drugs available. And so initially it used to be for 8-10 days. Now it settles in 1-2 days. The second biggest problem was fall in WBC, because our WBC grows very fast. And because of the fall in WBC, we are more prone to get infections. And that's why this patient have to have a good hygienic diet. They should eat all the warm food. They should not eat morning cooked food or something like that. They should eat vegetables. They can eat everything, but it should be well cooked. It's one thing. And second thing, even water also, either aquaguard one or garam karke, or when we use boiled water and then cold it. So those things are important. Should always eat something after washing hands. That is third important thing. And should avoid going to crowds. And if at all they have to go to crowded places, they should wear masks, because they can catch infection from either nose or from food. So these things are very important. They can have fruits also, but they should wash that fruit with at least 2-3 times with warm water, and then they should use it. And now, fortunately, we have WBC increasing injections available, so we give it prophylaxically. We do not wait for the WBC to fall and patient to suffer. And third most important common risk factor is hair loss. So because fortunately hair roots never go, so it will be a superficial hair loss. And once chemotherapy is over, the hair will again regain. And fortunately, we have a scalp technique also available for that thing. So if they use some cold some device which is to be fitted over the skull, and it decreases temperature in that local area. So even after giving chemotherapy, they don't develop hair loss. So hair loss problem can be taken care with the skull cap. So I advise them. My main advice to all chemotherapy patients that their hydration is very important. They should drink at least 3.5 liters of whatever liquid they want. They can eat juice, soup, whatever they want, but at least it should be 3.5 liters. It has shown to decrease lot of the side effects of chemotherapy. And slightest fever, slightest problem, they should immediately report to their treating doctor, because a slight infection can become a major in 1 or 2 days only. So they have to be immediately started on drugs. So that is the second important thing.
Right now, as you know, the third wave of corona is right upon us. So, as a healthcare expert, what advice would you like to give to people?
Right. So Corona wave actually in Mumbai, it has already started stagnating. Third wave was, you can say, was or is still there. It is progressing, but fortunately, all the patients are having mild symptoms as compared to second wave or first wave. So they have less respiratory problem, they have less admission requirement, less ventilator requirements. So obviously, most important is prevention, and for preventing, you wear a mask properly. You should matter you are wearing mask, but it is not covering your mouth and nose. You should completely cover. Then only it is important. If it is hanging down, then of no use. So using mask is important. Second is use of sanitizers frequently. Washing your hands, it is equally important. It can decrease the incidences. And even someone gets COVID, don't be panic, because 99% the symptoms are very mild. The fever is for only 1 or 2 or 3 days only, and it settles. So they have to monitor their thing. If fever is persisting for more than 48 or 72 hours, then they should immediately report doctor. One thing. And any difficulty in breathing, is they are having any difficulty in breathing or their saturation is decreasing, they should immediately consult doctor. Otherwise, maximum patients which we are seeing, they are getting covered with hydroxychloroquine tablet and good examination and good follow. Because slightest symptoms, consult doctor. If no symptoms, still be in touch with your doctor to for the follow up, what is happening or not, because they can guide you better. That is my main advice to
Thank,
them.
thank you so much, sir, for sharing such important information with us and being here with us.
Thank
We'll
you,
meet
Danish.
you in the next interview
Sure, sure,
with
sure.
some other.
Definitely, definitely.
Thank
Nice talking to
you. Same here, sir.
you. Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers who saw this video. And for more such videos, keep following India Top Doctor.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, all. Thank you. Surely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.